Okay, I just double checked everything and we are live. So, good morning to you. Good day to me. How are you?
Good morning. There we go. Now I can hear you.
Yes.
Perfect.
How are you?
I'm very good. I actually, since the last time we spoke, I started running again.
Oh,
So, yeah, I wasn't running for the last many months. And now I've done three 8 kilometer runs. So, getting back into it, getting back to it. And what about you?
it's been again more challenges, but I'm
More
happy about
challenge.
them. I'm grateful.
Okay.
I'm-
Yeah.
that means I order them. And yes, but in the middle of all the madness, somehow there seems to be some like one point of sanity that keeps me on a
Okay.
sanity level, um, in a, and it's not even in a spiritual way. It's mostly speaking about practical manners and
Mm-hmm.
like when things get on top of your head and you're like, oh my goodness, it's like I'm not gonna finish this, I'm not gonna finish that, and that person expecting me to do this and that, and then I remember that this too shall pass. And then I remember such conversations that we have. I have a couple of other friends that I have had similar conversations since we last spoke,
Okay.
and that's really I would say a happy experience in a full sense of meaning this word happy, because it makes you glad that you're alive and like in this human body and in this reality, and even though I'm not 100% happy with all the happenings that happen right now. In general, I would say this has been a wonderful week or so
Okay.
since we last
Okay.
spoke. Yeah,
Oof. A lot of feelings there, a lot of
definitely.
challenges,
Yeah,
a lot
yeah.
of oh, well, congrats, you made it. Yeah,
Cheers to another week.
cheers. Sunday, yeah. So it's Tuesday, September 10th, 2024. So live from Montreal, Canada, and you are in
In Carrickshire, like well near Carrickshire in Ireland.
okay, in Ireland, which I had the pleasure of visiting last year. Yeah, it's almost going to be a year now. It's
Yes,
going
I
to be
think
our
was it October? Was it?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, I
gonna
think it
be
was
our
October. Yeah.
our anniversary soon.
I'll have to go to the hotel, the one that the event happened.
With the horse with the
Yeah.
I was always fascinated by a horse with a lampshade
Yeah. And
top
just
of
in
it.
case if the listeners are wondering, we're not talking about any particular anniversary or meetup. It was um it was meetup of Irish Writers Union, and you were a guest from
Yeah,
Canada, speaker, guest speaker.
and I came
And
to speak about my book there,
your book, yes.
the
And that's
Courage
I
to
asked way
Love.
too many questions, and that's how we ended up still talking. And yes. Yeah, the signature outfit for a person to be available for me to have a conversation with them is let's say zero shoes. That's the first sign that I might be interested in your way of which you had.
I like
So
that.
yeah,
I like that. This way of seeing people.
yeah.
Barefoot connecting to the earth.
Mostly I don't own any zero shoes at the minute, but I walk barefoot whenever possible. So I don't think it's kind of no level, nothing. It's just the way that I feel that I almost breathe through feet. It just they become sweaty and I can't feel the environment. It's really hard for me to wear thick shoes for long periods of time. Or slippers.
Yeah, no,
Slippers
totally agree. Our
I don't own.
contact with the earth is so amazing. So last time I introduced you a bit to the big flip.
That
And
happened with you, yes.
yeah, and so today I thought to start with just a little story, which kind of summarize all of it. Very simple. So just imagine there's this amazing buffet, all these table of foods that are on the table, food from any country you'd like, and there's sweet food and there's hot food, and you can smell it, and there's this amazing buffet that's there of food. And then you got an invitation card. So there's this buffet, and you got this envelope with your name on it. Say, wow, you're invited. And when you get in, you see there's lots of table, and there's this white table, and there's a little name card there, and it's your name. And it's got glasses, and it's got plates, and all you need to do is you take your plate and you walk up to the buffet, and everything's there, like chicken and meat, or if you're vegan, like almond bread, almond milk, and then you can sample all the stuff that you want. So you just start to put different foods on your plate. You choose, I'm going to try a bit of this, try a bit of that. And then you get back to your seat, and you're sitting with other people at your table, and then you talk. You just start to talk to see, what they're eating, what you're eating, and then what happens in your day, and that's it. Now, for me, that's what life is all about. You're welcome to this amazing buffet. So, what do you think?
I think there's too many options.
I love this. What's too many options? Tell me more about that.
I would love, like, as you probably, I think we spoke about this. I studied theology and science of religions, and it's like just thinking about basic religions, there's already too many options. We all know there's kind of different paths to the same God and blah, 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 yada, yada, all that. But don't mind like the footwear we want to wear, like, or any garment we want to purchase. It's always too many options. We don't even have to go to, as I said, don't mind the spiritual even. There's practical manners that we have to pick from. And yeah, that's my basic feeling, that I would rather have less options sometimes, which
Okay.
sounds weird, because if you ask, people always appreciate options, but I think there is a place for the generations and kind of a school before us, place for that in this way. But we touched trust in the time we last spoke and before as well, and there has to be place for trust as well in all this hierarchy. So what I'm trying to say is, too many options, there has to be trust involved in order for us to be able to trust in someone or something who knows better than us. If we don't have enough time in this world to choose or evaluate all the options. So yeah, that's my basic. What are your thoughts? What are your feelings about this?
Yeah, that's fine. So basically, when I tell this story, each person will pick up on whatever they're at in their journey,
Yeah.
in that. So that's fine. So if you remember, say like first is the belief, that the universe is there, you know. So the buffet is there. It has nothing to do with you. It's there. It's a given, And most people are afraid because the buffet means life is limitless.
Mm.
You can have anything you want. The second part of my story is to say you've got this invitation card. It means that not only the universe exists, but you, like ZANE, you're there, I am there, and all these questions of which you didn't bring up, but you did bring up trust, which is very, very important, is that you don't need to do anything to have access to that buffet, to that universe. We often doubt, we don't trust ourselves. Am I worthy enough?
Mm.
Did I get the invitation? Am I allowed? Am I
Mm.
good enough? So that invitation, when it is trust. So the buffet is faith. It's there, and it has nothing to do with you. Life is
Mm.
just there. That's a given. It's a gift. I like the expression, it's a given, but you which come back the root that it's a gift. Life is a gift. It's there. And then you've been invited. And that's when you need trust that you are worthy enough. And you say, how do you choose? We're going to get to that point. And this idea that when you trust yourself, that's when we talk about, and we didn't talk about this yet, your insights, your instincts, So whatever you feel is right for you is right for you. You don't need any excuse. You don't need any explanation. You don't need any gods. You don't need any rituals. You don't need, it's just what is coming up inside you. That is your truth. That is your reality. So that's the invitation card. Nobody can, and these two, nobody can take that away from you. The universe is a given. The buffet is there. It's just there. And we exist. So trust, your invitation card, faith. Basically, the card is what comes from inside you. And this, we've lost so much touch with that.
Mm.
Listening to our instinct, listening to what makes you, basically. And that's
Mm.
also a given. And the third aspect is about the plate. Basically, and I've suffered from this for so much in life, waiting.
Mm.
Waiting for stuff to happen, even sometimes unconsciously waiting for an earthquake, or like, since I'm so afraid to move, maybe if life throws me something,
Mm.
and then I'll feel something. And if you remember the my five levels of being, so these are the five levels of being: the universe, the spirit. The universe is the buffet. The spirit is the invitation card. It's you. It's Zane. Number three is the body. And when it's stuck in the body is your plate. It's you getting up to the buffet. And that's, I think, in our society, that's the scariest thing. Like number four, number two, our spirit, the invitation card. That's not even on. We don't even think about that. But number three, the plate, we're scared. We're scared of getting up. We're scared of asking. Um, for example, I'm planning to go to Morocco in a few weeks with Patch Adams, and I've got so many questions because I have to plan my trip and this and that, and I have a lot of stupid questions. I have a lot of newbie questions. How do I travel from one city to the other city? I don't find any bus. How much is this gonna cost? So before, I would feel like anxious about all these questions, about all these indecision. And I've decided, no, it's a game. It's fun. I'm just going to play. I'm just going to ask the whole universe. And now, instead of being anxious and scared, I'm excited because I just don't know. And I'm going to ask stupid question. And it's fun. And some people will say, that's dumb. But then one of you people will say, oh, thank you for asking. And I'll tell you. So being paralyzed. So the third is the body. And the body is the plate. It's the idea of you getting up from the table and going over the food and looking at everything. That's where most of us are stuck. We're stuck. We don't move. We don't dare to stand up, or we're kind of waiting for a waiter to come, asking permission. Am I allowed to leave my kids at home and go for a weekend by myself? I mean, can you give me permission, please? It's like no, no, no. Number two, your spirit says, your invitation card says, I want to go. I need to go. Number three, your body is going. It's the power of action. And again, nobody can take away the power of action. It's all for you. You're the one who sets in motion, even if it's just thinking, even if it's just asking, and then doing it physically. So you've got your plate, and you're walking all around the table, and you take some this and that, and that's where number four comes in with his choice. So there's no, how can I say, there's there's no reason why you choose this or that. It's totally illogical. The only logic can be from your source inside, you know. You've got all, imagine the buffet. Are you going to be attracted to the spicy food? Are you going to attracted to the warm food? Are you going to attracted to the cold food? Are you going to be attracted by the jello, which is transparent and waggles? Are you going to, when I was traveling into India with other clowns, I had this wonderful friend, Stacy, and we were going to the restaurant, and it was supper time. So while everybody was ordering, what to order, what kind of meal or samosa and stuff, she said, "I want ice cream." And said, "Okay." And all of us kind of thought, well, that's dessert. I'm sure you can have some after. And for her, it was, no, I want my meal to be ice cream. And that's it. And but she got that, and maybe she had two or three services of ice cream, and she was happy as a, totally happy person. And why not? I mean, there was a TV series, like comedy, I think it was Seinfeld or something, and the guy for supper, for the evening meal, supposedly would eat breakfast cereals. You know? Again, so number three is your body is taking action. Number four is we don't know why we pick this or that. That's so I call it number four is following your passion. It's following your love. And then after that, you sit at the table. And this is why it's called the big flip, because at the table, you got your food, you start to sample, okay, and you say, okay, yes, this I like, and this I don't like. And there's hundreds of other people at your table. When you don't have the big flip, you're going to be telling people, oh, don't eat this, it's no good. Or try this, that's so much better. And you're going to look at their plate. So you're the one who's telling others what to eat, what's good, and what's no good. But actually, the fun, the pleasure of life is listening to others. Say, oh, you're eating this. Wow, that's amazing. Tell me about it. So, in technical terms, in realistic terms, you say, okay, you're a lawyer. Wow, fine. You're a doctor. Wow, fine. You're a dentist. Wow, fine. You've been homeless for 2 weeks. Wow, how is that? Tell me about it, as opposed to imposing your thought process to the world. And before the big flip, we think that we must solve the equation of life. We think we must have the answer. What is life? Who I am. But actually, who you are, that's the last thing. And the only way you can know who you are is by looking at your plate. And how did you fill your plate? Is by following what you love. And were you able to fill your plate with what you love? It's by standing up and going to the buffet. And the buffet, you got the invitation. So you can go whenever you want. And it's all there all the time. So the big flip is saying that who you are, what's your purpose in life, that's the last thing. And it's not the first thing. In our society today, we're focused on the mind, who you are, duty, with laws, with following codes and stuff like that. And then if you're lucky, you get weeknights and weekends to do your passion, to do what you love. And then
Mm.
your body doesn't exist. You smoke or you drink but it's not part of the equation. So the big flip is actually the other way around. The universe is a gift. You are invited. You have nothing to do. You are just invited. You follow whatever comes inside of you. You have the power to act, to go get it. You choose. Who knows why you choose? You choose. It's from inside. And then when you sit down at your plate, then maybe you can say, oh, I'm actually a vegetarian, which actually I don't like to say I am. I eat the vegetarian way, or I eat the carnivorous way, or I, oh, I see that today at this table, I am someone who likes to piles up lots of food. Or I see today at this table, I'm someone who likes to only eat cold dessert. So who you are is at the end. And I'll finish with this. And this is why so many people feel stuck and they feel they have a hole in their life. They feel incomplete because they're not connected to the buffet. They're not connected to the universe. They're not connected to their spirit. They're not connected to their body. They're barely connected to their feelings. They are being led by their thought process. So, music interval. That was intense. Okay, this is the intensity pig.
Let's reduce the tension. Yes, when thinking about this, you just said like the direction I think I'm heading is still reducing the options, and I think we can compare this sense of approach by imagining if you never fasted, either it's just water fast or just no food, no drink at all, or not taking a train but walking for hours and hours, just reducing your options. And I think like by listening to you, the buffet for me would be having less options than normally I would have, and then my hearing appears and then I'm able to hear myself, and I feel that's the place where we can call it magic, but that's like simple thing. It's or like I'm trying to make up my mind now what to say, because some feelings I'm unable to put in words at the minute. Even in Latvian, I wouldn't be able to put them in words. So that's another example of how reducing the words and just by being or letting you continue, speak on, keep on going, and I will come to the conclusion later on. I think that's a luxury that we often don't let just happen at all. We don't wait for the answer to come. We just keep on going on and push ourselves. Yeah.
And that's the mind,
Yeah, that's the
and
mind. Yeah.
what you've described to me so far, if you permit me discussing it, is the fine of limiting your options. Now, in what I've introduced you in the concept of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm going to be didactic here. I hope you don't mind. Number one was the what. Once you've done the big flip, number one is you can be You have to say to me either in the example of the buffet
Yeah.
metaphor or the theory. So number one, the base of everything is
For me, trust.
it's the buffet.
It's the buffet, yes.
It's the
And
buffet,
trusting the
you know.
contents.
It's the
That,
universe. It's
yeah.
the universe, you know. So that's the bottom. That's where we need to start. The second one is your invitation, okay? And that's trust, okay? That's your spirit. Trust in your spirit, trust in yourself, you know, who you are.
Mm.
Number three is you with the plate walking around. So that's the body. Number four is making choices, which is the one that is the end where you get to five, which is who you are as a person. Okay, so from what your reaction to what you've been telling me, you're starting what you're putting as a priority is before the big flip. You're saying, I want to talk about options, but option is number four, and that comes after all of these things. And then, which is great, which is excellent, is because we need to become aware of this. And why you, so, you know, one, two, three, four, five, the universe, the spirit, the body, the heart, and the mind. So the heart is about choices, is about options. And when you talk, when you open yourself, which is wonderful, which thank you, what you're putting forward is you go back to trust. And it's true. And when I talk about the big flip or putting first things first or whatnot, what feeds you, it's number two. So I totally agree with you, you know. So if you are not, how could I say, secure, grounded in the trust that you have the invitation card, that you're allowed to be you. You don't need permission, that you're worthy, that you don't need to be a good girl or a good boy for other people listening. You know, once this is rock solid foundation, choices becomes really, really easy. So the big flip is to say, let's work on what makes me strong so that the it's like you have a car and your options, you know, you're deciding which color do you want it, or should I have airbags, or should it be electric or not. Okay, these are choices. But even before that is to say, uh, can I have a car? Do I want a car? You know, is a car has purpose and meaning for me? So we you know, it's like in a couple, in a relationship, in a love relationship or a friend relationship. Um, at the base of everything is, do you really want to be in a couple? Instead of always debating, is this the right person for me or not? You know, if you know you want to be in a couple, if you know you want to be into a exclusive couple, because there's, you know, there's monogamous, there's polygamous, there's so many branding, and there's being gay and so many possibilities. Uh, and you know, but at the base is, do you want to be in a couple? Oh, and why? I mean, if not, you can spend days, weeks, months arguing or, you know, details. So um, choices, you're gonna have millions of them, always. And the thing about choices is when you make a choice, by making a choice, you're um, let, just To give an image, there's alphabet. I think there's 26 letters in the alphabet. When you choose A, you've basically thrown away 25 letters away. And that's what often people are scared of. They say, yes, I want A, but I'd like to keep B, C, and D, and E, and F, and G, and H, and because, it's like, I'd really like A. And then you have that famous word, but. In number one, the universe, there's no but. It's a given. It's there. There's no but, there's no if, there's no condition. Life is a gift. It's there for you. And because you're here, it's because you have your invitation card. Trust that. Okay, I'll stop here and let you breathe a bit into that, because I've said so many things.
There's nothing wrong with saying many things. Because I believe if one or two or five doesn't suit me, it would most definitely suit someone else, and that's why we're here. Because I, of course, take personally these conversations, but still I'm in awe every time when someone is reached by one of these conversations, and I could never know what speaks. It could be the way that you just drank your beverage, or it could be the way that we listen to each other or not listen to each other. It could be anything, really. And that amazes me. And that's the joy of experiencing the universe as it happens at the minute. And as far as I know myself, I could be so many things. And it's also interesting to discover and rediscover my options. Or are there any options? Are there any limitations? And I think once we have children, these options, some of them, they're vital. The menu, the plate, having sense of the plate, it becomes vital, not only for us but also for our kids, for them to see that we are brave enough to take that plate, to acknowledge the invitation. And yeah, I think it has always been that way. We sometimes tend to say, oh, these times are more challenging than other times before us, or our parents had it better or worse, or we like to compare. But how can we know for sure? Because we only
Well,
have this time.
I know, I agree with you. And I also have my family, my daughter. And since 10 years ago, when I became a clown with Patch Adams, and my life changed and keeps changing, growing. Let's say keep growing and getting layers off of the mind falling away. Choices I've made, it's only 10 years, so I've got more than 50 years of choices with me, and then suddenly I decide to change, to go toward, to start to listening to myself, as opposed to having this amazing baggage of
Mm.
options and choices I've made in the past. So concretely, it's the spirit is about being self-aware. It's about listening. It's about being in touch with oneself. So it's about conscious living, being awakened. That's a word I like, to be awakened, that you are there in this life. So while I'm practicing being aware of what is happening and what is happening with me, now I have my daughter and I have a few friends around me. So what is lacking, what I need to heal in my relationship and my family, is communication.
Mm.
because I have 50 years of not knowing how to communicate. So it's not so much about do I love them or I don't love them? What choice do I have to make for them or not for them? It's more about the idea of how do I communicate self-awareness? What the best gift I can give to my partner, to my child, to my friends is becoming aware that they have this invitation card and that you live in the buffet and you have the power to do. By giving them that gift, even if I'm not perfect, even if I'm still practicing, I know that in the present moment, I'm working towards getting rid of all my choices and getting rid of all my options from the past. And then together, we create new options. So I agree. We have children, we have partners, we have friends. The big flip is to understand that I'm not making decisions, is we are making decisions. That's a hard one. It's hard
That
to,
excludes the ego,
there's
big
no,
time.
yeah, and when you do the big flip, that's when you see that ego is number 5. It's the least important thing in the equation. And that's, to say this, it's like
Mm.
it's the create we live in an ego society. But
Mm.
what the big flip is to realize that no, ego is actually, I talk about the buffet, but just think about a nice fire camp where you have wood kindling and there's a fire and that you warm yourself and you have marshmallows and just and hot chocolate maybe and it's you're out there in the desert, well I'll be, and then you look at the stars, you know the morning after, where was the fire? You have ashes. You have remnants. That's the ego. That's
Mm.
all it is. The ego is the ashes of the experience of living. And we fucked that up. I'm sorry I have to use that word. We really fucked that up, that we say that the ashes are the most important thing in life. But no, the most important thing in life is the experience of living. It's not the ashes. So when many religion talk about giving up your ego, and for me that's always been abstract and it didn't mean anything. But when I talk about the big flip, and the ego is just the ashes of the experience. If you have no experience, then all you have is old ashes, and you make an ash of yourself by trying to live like that. So my difficulty today, well, honestly speaking with you and speaking with our friends who are listening here, is to say, how do I live? How do I communicate with people who don't know there's a buffet?
Mm.
With people who don't know they have an invitation card? People who don't know that they have the power to fill their plate? People who don't know that they have the pleasure, the joy of following their passions? Because I'm surrounded with people who are just telling me their stories. They're
Mm.
just telling me their ashes. They're just telling me their egos. And when you live on the ashes plane, I like even that better than the ego plane, because ego, it's been used so many times that you just don't know what it means. But ashes, that's visual, you can see it, it's great, it's dead stuff. Um, I'll be controversial here, it's in a very interesting way, but the whole thing about vitamin D, and
Mm.
maybe I shouldn't say this because
Then please do.
because when I talk about something which I'm just repeating what I've heard or
Yeah.
what makes sense of, then I get into an argument, and then it's like, oh, forget
You
it,
know what
because
you could
I'm not.
say? You dreamt about it. So that's it.
Oh, anyway, it's just that vitamin D is the ashes of having the sun on your body. So when you take vitamin D pills, it's doing nothing to you because the vitamin D is the result of having the sun.
Mm.
So if you take pills of vitamin D, yeah, your blood work or whatnot will be filled of vitamin D, but it doesn't mean anything because it's like the process of the sun doing something and then creating, and then the end result is that. Anyway, so let's forget about that. So,
Please, let's not forget about this dream you
ah,
had.
okay. So basically, people don't know there's a buffet. How do I deal with people who don't know there's a buffet? Who um, so I actually had made a list here. I kind of forgot. I mean, maybe I do write a lot all the time. So what does it mean, people? Or how do they speak? People who oh, don't know. Um, so uh, people who don't know that the universe, they're gonna say that's life. There's nothing I can do about it. Okay, they're gonna say I'm not worthy. I don't deserve it. You know, they're gonna say I can't. I can't. And then they're gonna say about number four, well, I'm not allowed. And the
Mm.
last one they're gonna say is, but that's who I am. Don't try to change me. That's who I am. So in all of these things, they have no power. They
Mm.
have no gift. Anyway, that's been like a lot of poof, 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 poof all the same time. So talking
Yeah, but
about,
it's like in one short sentence, it's like giving away the power, giving away the life essence.
yeah, yeah, it is. And so how to deal with children, how to deal with family, how to deal with friends. And I don't even like to work, how to deal with their ashes,
Mm.
basically, you know. Um, People who live in the ash world, so are not connected to their passion, to their power, to their self-worth, and to the gift of life. So when you live in the ash world, you automatically become dependent on this around the environment. You're like vampires. Your environment must feed you. Your environment must give you purpose in life. Your environment must give you permission. So whatever happens in your environment, you're going to be like totally swayed by. So the gift I can give to my partner, to my child, to my friend is the awareness that you are here. I'll listen to you.
Mm.
I you know I listen to their ashes, and
But
then I
it's not a
see.
burden. You don't feel it as a burden, no?
No, because it's I mean, uh, if we go back to the buffet, and uh, it means there's a billion other people sitting at the buffet with their plate, and that's fun. That's amazing. That's gorgeous.
But there's a but.
I'll just finish it.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
the only burden, because you said the burden,
yeah,
is when they want to impose their plates on you.
yeah.
That's the only burden, because it means they're not awake. It means they're not awakened. It means they need approval and stuff like that. And while that's the only challenge, It's like, how do I live in a society, in a world where people live with their ashes and they need me to play a role in their screenplay, in their life, as
Mm.
opposed to so um,
My
it,
bet
it's
was to reverse it. What if, like, let's imagine there's
mhm.
not those all other peoples with their stories and their ashes, as you said, but what if the enlightened person thinks that their plate is the most important one?
And I
And
agree, and that's why I say the difference between enlightened and awakened.
yeah, I just wanted
That's it.
for you to
Uh,
describe this in detail, if you
yeah,
can.
no, no, because enlightened, you think you're right. You think the plate is the best plate. You think everybody should eat like you. That's
Mm.
been enlightened, and that's wrong. I'm sorry to say, you're just being another ash. Oh, Oh, I shouldn't make so many puns. That's, but when you live in your ashes, you feel a hole inside you
Yeah.
because so you are an ash hole. You know, I'm sorry. No, awaken just means self-aware.
Mm.
These are my choices, and my choices are only good for me.
Mm.
You know,
That's a
if
that's a big issue, I think, in this time that we are at the minute, where people um we can, like, let's not go into big terms. Observe the structure of society, how we function at the minute.
yeah,
There are some groups who think that they're more right than the others, and and
all the groups,
that's interesting.
all the groups.
Yeah.
No, no, and in another conversation we can have. I mean, there's a reason why we live in an ash world today, and there's a reason why I call it the big flip. But in a very small nutshell, just imagine, the beginning of the humanity. Just, thousands of years ago. I don't know if language existed or not. We're basically all like animals and like a wolf. Uh, we owl at the moon, and basically, but so at the basis, there's just existence. We just exist, and that's it. And then suddenly, a few centuries ago, um, we became self-aware. What's the guy who look in the water and see his reflection? Narcissist. Okay, so for thousands and thousands of years, we live in a magical world. Life was just like a gift. It's just amazing. And then suddenly we became conscious. Oh, it's me in the water. Oh my God. And now we became kings and religion. So kings and religions were invented in those days. So we move from magic to spiritual, kings and religion. And then centuries after, which is the Renaissance, which is the Enlightenment, we discovered the body. Oh, we have a body. What I eat will affect me. How I live will affect me. We got the microscope. Galileo said the we the sun revolves around the earth, but before, no, no.
Mm. Yeah.
We are, and the rest, so that's when we move into number three, the body, the existence of the body. And there, about 150 years ago, it was the romantic era, the era of nationalism, the era of poetry, you know and then so we live into to that world of poetry, and poetry was, and Romeo and Juliet, uh you would die for your lover, and that was a
Mm.
worthy cause. That was
Mm.
worthy to die for love. And then in our last in we are now living in the Freudian era, that no, no, women have hysteria. We've discovered the unconscious, and we all we are is minds, and we use pills. So for the last 100 years, we are living in the ash era. So what you learned from your parents and from your grandparents and your great grandparents is all ashes. Ashes or the ego. And that's why today in 2024, we are stuck in this paradigm, in this definition of what is life. Life is mental. But basically, no. So there's a historical foundation to why we got to this point in our lifetime. And if you go to the extreme, which is what is happening now in 2025, we're going into artificial intelligence, and that's the next step. So the next step, and I'm not saying it's a good or a bad step, it's just that in the pyramid, the next step is to say, actually, we don't have a spirit, we don't have a universe, it's all a matrix, it doesn't exist. We live in the multiverse. We don't have sex. You can have any form of sex or group, it doesn't matter. All we are is electrical energy, and so we're gonna become machines, and we're gonna transfer our thought in the machine, and we're gonna live eternally, because the physical matter doesn't exist anymore. So this is the natural evolution of where we've been going since the beginning of history. So in summary, at first we're animals howling at the moon, then we see ourselves in the water, and then we invent kings and queens, and then in the Renaissance we discovered the body. And then in the Romantic era, we discover feelings. And then in the current era, with Freud and logic and marketing and Facebook and what's called data mining now and all that stuff, we live in the ego world, and we're going towards. So what you're saying is totally understandable, because if you go to the supermarket and you got rows of shampoo, which shampoo are you going to buy? There's 20 different kinds, so you're stuck with options. Oh my God, which shampoo? I'm going to choose by price, I'm going to choose by ingredient, by color, by the shape of the bottle.
You could also choose not to have any shampoo.
And I haven't used shampoo. I don't use any soap on my body since the last year. So I try
That's another option.
Yeah, but I basically that's it. I just wash with water. I've discovered that when I eat healthily, I don't smell at all. As soon as I start to do lots of sugary cookies and whatnot, or sweet, then I start to stink. It's so easy to, it's so predictable. Even when I run, I barely have a smell. It really depends on what I am eating. So anyway, we got off so much far away from our subject, but basically, I wanted to give you this image of why we are in our present situation, why it is totally normal, ZANE, in September 10, 2024, to be focused on your options and trying to find a way out through your options. So my daughter hates it when I tell often when I say something like this. Look, you're totally normal. All the questions you're asking, all the emotions you're living at this point in time, it's totally normal given what we're dealing with. So don't put some extra pressure on yourself feeling guilty
Yeah.
about, oh my God, how I'm a bad mother, I'm a bad daughter, I'm a bad friend because I have all these questions. And society tells me I shouldn't have any questions. Society tells me I shouldn't have any doubt. I should have a nice watch and a nice haircut and a nice this and a nice that.
What do you say about the next topic if we speak about Ash World?
Yeah, we can focus. Like, thank you. Like I've introduced the concept of the big flip,
Yeah.
which was my um, summary of the awakening process. So the next time we can focus on the yeah on the ash world on
And give
how
some examples of from our own lives and just
yeah
discuss it a bit more and not give it a lesson for others, but just have an experience.
well it's not so much about giving lessons, but
Yeah.
it's also say because once you um, I always say like somebody lives in a dark room and they never dare to put on the light because they're scared of all the little noise they
Yeah.
hear. And then you come in and then you put the light on and then you see it's filled with cockroaches. And then the person freaks out and then you go away and you shut the light and you're no longer there. But now the person cannot sleep anymore
Yeah.
because before she could sleep, she heard the noise, but she did not want to know. But now that you've came, put on the light, now she knows it's full of cockroaches and now she's scared. So it's not so much of giving lessons, but it's for me, naturally, I would give hints of what solutions, what practices.
Mm.
Uh, like we talk about when you're living in an ash world, uh, a journal is an excellent tool to start to see all the ashes we have. So
Mm.
it's not so much giving lessons, it's just say, well, Guy, that's nice talk and it seems so easy for you. You always had it easy in your life. Not if you read my book,
Mm.
you know.
I would
Um,
add to your journal a pen.
yeah,
With that being said, I wish to conclude this today and say that it's all still about practice. You could imagine all the most beautiful things, but if you don't practice them, then there's no point in just observing and never trying out and never accepting the invitation.
yeah, and finding your ground, your base.
Yeah.
Okay, the big flip is about that. It's to say, I have all these worries, I have all of these things bugging me, but I am much, much, much more than all these things.
Yeah.
And people don't know this. And that's where the faith is there. There's the trust that of who you are, but the faith that you are much, much, much more than what you think you are.
Thank you, Key. See
Love
you next time.
you.
Bye.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Bye.
Love you all.